Hey guys, so I haven't made a video in quite a while, but as you can see I got the new Ford Raptor. I thought I'd make a little comparison video of it compared to the old one. Okay, so here's the quick rundown on the new 2017 twin turbo EcoBoost V6 engine, producing 450 pound-foot of torque and 450 horsepower. It's 213 cubic inches with a 10-speed automatic transmission. So technically this thing's supposed to get a whole lot better mileage, and I'll get a little more into that while we're driving it. Now here's the 2013. This is the second mark of the first gen, because the first gen originally had the 5.4 liter. This has got the 6.2. So obviously V8, 411 horsepower with 434 pound-foot of torque and a 6-speed automatic transmission. So big difference on the transmission. Now I'll get more detailed with everything while we're driving it, but this is a steel body truck compared to the new one being the aluminum, so it's quite a bit heavier, especially with V8 compared to the V6. But like I said, I'll get more into it when we start driving them. From the exterior though, I think they both look tremendous, but you gotta hand it, the new one is just sharp all the way around. They brought the exhaust down, as you can kind of see here and here. Same tires. Now as we look at the back of this guy, the exhaust is right here. I also have the same style of rim. So you can see now there are two rim choices, both on the 13 and on the new 17. There's two rim choices. Both of these on these trucks are the upgraded rims. Kind of walk around. You can see they added this new hip line, which really wasn't there on the old one. It's kind of just flat. Alright, here's the 2013 interior. Get an idea of the steering wheel, the instrument cluster. Then just note, this is where your auxiliary switches are on the 13. When you go look at the 17, I'll show you they're actually up here, and there's more of them. In this one, there's a total of 4. So just keep that in mind. As you can see, the seats have worn quite well, I have to say, with this truck. I've got 100,000 miles on it, and I use it as a work truck, so I'm very happy with it. Now, let's go look at the 17. A new seat. Much nicer steering wheel, and I have to say, a thicker one. New instrument cluster. New shift. So you can see, there's a total of 6 now auxiliary switches, and they are on the roof of the truck instead of being down here by the shifter. Just new design, and I think a little better, cleaner all around. Something else I wanted to show you guys real quick is just look at this bed real quick. This was as best you could get. Ford would sell you this kind of rubber mat, but using this as a work truck, as you can tell, you bang up the bed quite a bit. And then obviously you got to open this up manually and lock it manually, which really is no big deal, but it's just amazing how nice and how luxurious these trucks have come, to this one being automatic. It locks when you lock your truck, so you don't have to physically lock it like you do the 13, and you get this nice new bed coating in it. So like I said, I'm going to be using this as a work truck, and well, not going to really be banging it up as much. So to me, that's a big plus. But they also do carry a lot of the similar design features. This, and as you can see, the 2 on the 13. Now if you look at the 17, you have the same thing with just one big hood scoop compared to the 2 little air intake ones on the 13. Still has that patented kind of Raptor look, the 3-dot design with the big Ford in the grill. Anyway, let's drive them both and I can tell you a little more. Okay, so we're in the 2013 Raptor. I love this truck. I'm at just about 7 miles shy of 98,000. So I've, driven the truck, and like I said, it's a work truck, so I've banged it around, I've taken it off road. I can tell you there's nothing that I don't like about it, really. It gets, not the greatest mileage, but that's kind of to be expected. 12.2 miles to the gallon. Now, like I said, I've taken it off-road. Love it. Again, 98,000 miles nearly. I haven't had any problem. I think the only real problem I had is the battery went dead on me once. And kind of the whole system just went dead because of that battery. So all I really had to do was replace the battery, but it wasn't on my fault. It wasn't like I had left a light on or something. It was just one of those fluke things. But that's it. Had it regularly serviced, so I guess as long as you regularly service these trucks, you really don't have to worry too much about them. As far as it goes driving on the road, I mean, this is an old truck, so you could kind of get a lot of this information online relatively easily, or you might have been driving this before, but I love it. It cruises well. The tires don't make any howling noise, no complaints. Engine sounds good. Now I have to admit, after driving that new one for a week and then getting back in this thing feels like a dog. It really does. And it's not necessarily because it doesn't have the power. I mean, it does, 411 horsepower, and that one's got 450, and that's a big difference, but it's not unreal. The difference lies, in my opinion, in the weight. This is a much heavier truck than that one is. I have to look up the exact weight distribution compared to the two, so I'll tell you that when I get in the next one. But that to me is where the secret lies in the two differences, is just how much lighter that one, especially going off-roading. After you go off-roading in this compared to anything else on the market, you kind of scratch your head like, why else would I buy anything? I mean, this is the truck to buy for off-roading, especially for 4 years ago. And even more so the gen before that, the Mark 1, I guess what you'd call it, with the 5.4 liter. I mean, it's a little slower than this, but that truck was, it was a great truck as well. Anyway, let's head back and I'll get in the 17, and that's where I'll really kind of tell you the differences, and that's all right, guys. So this is take 2. The last one I did, the first run on the new Raptor, when I was driving it, I didn't like how it turned out when I went to edit it, so let's retry this. So, quick rundown. The new Raptor is lighter because it is now the aluminum body compared to the steel body. Smaller engine, which again makes it lighter, and a bigger transmission. In fact, it's got more gears, which helps with fuel economy. So what does that all mean? The lightness is now, what was it? This truck weighs roughly 5,700 pounds, according to Car and Driver, where the last truck, the 13, weighs around 6,100 pounds. So quite a big difference in curb weight. The V6 EcoBoost twin turbo, which has no lag to speak of with the twin turbo, is putting out roughly 450 pounds of torque and 450 horsepower, roughly. Where my last one, the 13, was putting out 413 horsepower, and I think it was around the lines of 434 pound-foot of torque. Now, both of those sets of numbers came again from Car and Driver, so reliable source. That's a huge difference just in the engine, and it's a smaller engine, which is pretty crazy. I'm more than happy with the way it sounds. When I first got it, I'm like, is it going to sound like a V6? I mean, that was a big concern for me. And after driving it, I don't really hear a V6, noise to it. They did a great job with the exhaust, and I put a GoPro by the exhaust, so hopefully, you'll be able to hear it a little bit. As far as the transmission goes, it's the new 10-speed. Now, Ford did this, kind of a joint venture, if you will, developing the transmission with GM. So I know that GM is going to be putting it in their trucks, you know, the Silverado and such. So far, no complaints whatsoever. It's not lunging out of weird gear or dropping down when you're trying to get on it at a weird gear, or, you know, really drastically. Overall, very, very happy with the transmission. And in many regards, I kind of like it more than the 6-speed, just because it's getting that much better fuel economy, and it's really smooth on the freeway. Once you get up into the high gears, you know, 8th, 9th, and 10th gear, it's very smooth transmission. So a couple of the new features, like I said, on this one in comparison to the 13 is they put the overhead auxiliary switches up on the top, and they added 2, so a total of 6. I never used them on mine. I kept my 13 completely stock, but even if you're not going to use them, they're kind of cool. They also put in these paddle shifts, and I haven't exactly looked incredibly closely at the Ford GT's paddle shifts in photos, but they look very similar in design to the Ford GT. Obviously the updated sync system, updated updated dashboard, new steering wheel, thick steering wheel, good grip. I like it more than the 13 steering wheel. Obviously all this is new, updated stuff. And where the 13 had its auxiliary switches down here, they've now put in a little cubby hole. Now, this is just a little thing, not that big of a deal, but to me, I kind of don't like it. Is the 13, you can remove the cup holders. And I like that because I've got one of those, what are they called? Hydro flasks. And in the 13, it's a bigger, you know, cup holder. So you can take those little cup holders out and the hydro flask fits in. Where with this one, it doesn't have that. You can't remove these whatsoever. So the hydro flask doesn't really fit. It just kind of lays around on the seat, which kind of sucks. But that's really my only, my only concern with this truck. This one came fully loaded, so it's got the full sunroof that comes out. Then something else that I found kind of weird with this one is it doesn't have saved memory seats like 13 does. I don't know why that is. I thought I ordered this, like I said, fully loaded. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if I didn't order it, but nevertheless, this truck doesn't have it on. It also has the lane control. Now, I've had this in the Platinum 150s, and in the 250 has it. And it's a pretty cool little feature. What's going on here? If you are just kind of tilting a little too far, you know, into the other lane, it slightly pushes you back. But it is kind of an annoyance when you are driving the truck and you're starting to turn into the other lane and you don't have your turn signal on, because it kind of fights you. So you have to have your turn signal on. Granted, that's only when you have the actual system on. Another new piece is it's got the auto stop feature. If you saw my other video on the Focus RS, I said that it's kind of a European thing, and it's really not, quote, a European thing. It's just, to me, feels very European, since that was the first time I ever saw it was in a European vehicle in Europe. But unlike the Focus, this is, I like to say, an actual sound system. The Focus, you get up to a stoplight and it turns off, and then after 30 seconds or so it turns back on, and then if you turn the air conditioning on, it just goes on and off. So it's kind of annoying. Where this one, it doesn't do that. Granted, if you have the air conditioning on full blast, it's not going to turn the system off because it needs that power. But I haven't gone up to a stoplight and sat there for, you know, a minute and then had to have the system turn back on. It just stayed off. And it's responsive. I've got a buddy that has a BMW that has the same system, and when it's off and he goes to turn the power back on, you know, to continue driving,
it's laggy. It takes a little bit of time to load up, and he says it's in a way kind of dangerous. Now, I've never seen it to be that way, but this one system is very responsive. Now, two other things is its capability as far as towing goes. Now, I used mine quite a bit with the 6.2 liter to tow, and it towed like a champ. No problems. Obviously, if you have to go super heavy, I'm going to go with my 250. But this, I took it out and I had to tow something, and I was pleasantly surprised. Again, it's the smaller engine. It's the 3.5 liter. It's the second gen of the 3.5 liter, and it's a V6. I'm sorry, that just doesn't sound like the same capability, even with the torque being better to tow compared to a V8. But I towed a pretty heavy load the other day, and I was more than happy with it. It excelled my expectations. But as far as off-roading goes, I haven't had the opportunity to take this one off-roading. This is actually one of the first clear days in like a couple weeks since I've had this truck actually down here in Southern California, where I could go off-roading, and unfortunately most of the trails that I go off-roading are closed since it's been raining lately. But what I can say is, for instance, at my work with the 13, I get there early in the mornings before everyone else, so I kind of go into the parking lot pretty quickly. And it's fun because the truck usually, or not usually, it always takes it very well. This one, though, is noticeably different when I go into a parking lot or up a slope or whatever it may be, a bump. It takes it a whole lot better. And that's even for the stupid little speed bumps. You notice how much better this suspension is. The truck's a whole lot peppier. And that's because of the, how much weight it's shedded, obviously. And the fact that it's twin turbo. I mean, it gets up there. Now, obviously, if I'm driving it hard, it doesn't get the best mileage in the world, but oh, jeez. Not that big of a deal, lady. Anyway, if you just notice, it also turned off right there. But if I'm driving this truck really hard and really aggressive, I'm getting about 14 and a half miles to the gallon. Where if I'm driving it, not conservatively, but to me, normal, cruising on the freeway between 75 and 80 with a little bit of round town driving, and I'm getting about 16 and a half to 17 miles to the gallon, which is huge in comparison to my 13, where that truck, I don't care if I'm driving it hard or if I'm driving it conservatively, I'm not going to get anything better than 12 and a half miles to the gallon. I'm just not. And again, that is all because of how much weight this thing's lost. Everyone said to me when these were coming out, or before they had come out, everyone knew that these were going to be a V6. People were like, oh, well, how are you going to feel about getting a V6 truck compared to the Raptor? You excited for that, or disappointed, whatever. And my response always was, I loved my truck, but I'm like, it's a heavy truck. That 6.2 liter, it's a heavy engine. It kind of feels a little sluggish. And it really felt sluggish when you get into a 250 with the twin turbo diesel engine. So I always knew that with this truck, that twin turbo with a 3.5 liter V6, it's going to make the truck lighter and faster. So I always was very confident in Ford's ability to make this truck better. And that was one of the main reasons I wanted to redo this video while driving the truck, is I felt like I didn't get my point across on the last one. Granted, you guys never saw it, but I never got my point across to how good the new truck is. And I think it is very safe to say, at least for me, this is the most improved vehicle on an already great vehicle, if that makes sense. I mean, when Porsche comes out with a new 911, yes, it's a great car, but the other ones are already so great it's hard to beat it. And same thing with a lot of vehicles. But this one, they did an exceptional job on making it great for an already outstanding truck. I mean, you could go through the line. It's better looking, lighter, better mileage, faster, more power on both the torque scale and on the horsepower scale, nicer interior, more creature comforts, with the exception of the seat thing. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but I'm just letting you guys know. I think it sounds better. The reason it sounds better is it's louder, but it's not obnoxiously louder. But you could definitely hear it. So, I mean, if you just look across the board, the truck's all around better. And they're expensive. They're an expensive truck. I think this was, don't quote me, I want to say it was like $64,000, something like that. So they're expensive, but this beats everything, in my opinion. I'd rather have this than any of those new Mercedes. For instance, let's just say the Mercedes G-Wagon, the 4x4 square. What's that thing cost? $250,000, I think. So probably $250,000 to $300,000. I'd rather have this. It's just as good in many regards, and these things are very exotic looking. Granted, this is a brand new truck, but you'd be surprised at how many people I get, giving me thumbs up or asking me questions or saying how awesome of a truck it is. Anyway, to conclude, just an all-around better truck than the 13, which was an already great truck. Yeah, I love it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more. Sorry I haven't been doing too many videos lately. I'm going to try to start doing a little more frequently. Till next time, guys.